back to Thunderdome Metal Reviews, your church of heavy metal. I am the Reverend Dangerously, and we are here to talk about an album that has been heaped with FUS praise. Slipknot's Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses. With me, as always, are Tracy, the Chicken Slaughterer Newport, adjunct of Satan and friend of Slipknot, Dr. David Pizzo, the emissary of death metal himself and Guar fan, and Gabe Cooper, whom I don't have any nicknames for because I haven't known him long enough. Everyone, how are you doing? We are going to get there for sure.
We're getting there.
One
Doing
day.
good.
One day. You know, it is 2021. It is finally dry outside. The giant flies have died. It's
cool outside.
We're between biblical plagues, so I'm here for it.
I've unzipped my leather face mask.
Yeah, just take your get mask off, man. Let it breathe.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling loose.
Just let it breathe.
Indeed, let it breathe.
That's gonna leave a mark.
It will. That will. That thing looks like it hasn't been washed in a long time. But
It probably hadn't.
The point.
You're right. I think on both accounts that it probably hasn't, and that is the point.
Well, that's the point.
All right, so this is Volume 3, otherwise known as the Subliminal Verses, released on 5/25/2004. It is their third studio album. It was recorded in both the Mansion in Laurel Canyon, Los Angeles, and Academia Mathematique of Philosophical Science and Research, also in Los Angeles, California. Was released on Roadrunner. The mastering and production was done by Rick Rubin. Has a runtime of 60 minutes and 9 seconds. The lineup, you know them, you love them. Number 8, Corey Taylor on vocals. Number 7, Nick Thomas on guitars. Number 6, Sean Crahan, percussion, backing vocals, art direction, and photography. Number 5, Craig Jones, samplers and keyboards. Number 4, Jim Root on guitars. Number 3, Chris Fain on percussion and backing vocals. Number 2, Paul Gray on bass and backing vocals. Number 1, Joey Jordanson on drums and mixing. And number 0, Sid Wilson on turntables. So yeah, this is the album that, according to the band, brought them back together after the last one nearly destroyed them.
Well, I mean, you got rid of Ross Robinson. Of course it's going to do a better fucking time in the studio.
Well, I didn't say it was a better time in the studio. I said it brought them back together. What they attribute to that is they didn't talk to each other for 3 months and they all did musical side projects. Because the band is split on their experiences with Rick Rubin.
Sure. A lot of people are.
That's true.
He's a complicated man.
Like Corey Taylor has been on record as saying that he was pissed off and that Rick Rubin was overpaid because, quote, if you're in the shit, you're in the shit, end quote. And he wasn't there enough to suit Corey Taylor.
But he was probably used to Ross Robinson, who, like any abuser, was around all the time standing on him.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so I feel like that's partially a trend, like going from a hideous pharaonic dictatorship to, Rick Rubin's, I got 10 projects going and you're one of them situation.
I'm used to recording chained to a radiator. What is this nonsense?
Yeah, no, totally. You let me go. I get to go outside. Yeah, it's a lot. But I think that coming back together absolutely shows. I think you could hear it in the sound of this.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rick Rubin maybe only showed up twice, but he did a bang-up job because he's Rick Rubin.
Yeah, I think the production of this is far and away better than the last.
Oh, fuck
albums.
yes. And I don't know what channel he let a chicken shit on and turn down or whatever, which was one of his things, but
well, that's what Sean Gray had said. He said that, like, not about the chicken shitting, but he was like, yeah, Rick Rubin would just come in, listen to stuff and suggest some changes and then get it and go and treat it as like we were professionals, essentially, instead of riding herd over them. So yeah, different interpretations. And also, of course, this is, according to all accounts, when Corey really started drinking heavily. So that probably has something to do with his recollection of it too.
Shit.
Yeah. And I know he openly states that he was drinking like 3 bottles of Jack a day.
Oh my God.
I have no idea about the veracity of that. But the quote is, "This is when Corey's alcohol abuse really escalated." So that sounds like a 3 bottle of Jack a day habit. But who knows?
Well, when he was doing an interview and fans were there, and he's like, "I drank 3 bottles of Jack a day," and they cheered. He's like, "No, that's not something you fucking cheer."
No, it isn't. Shit, man. There's a lot of pain on all these albums, but I guess that's how he was dealing with it here. And I know some of it was physical, like destroying his body. Like they were wrecking themselves constantly. And that
Yeah.
had nothing to do with Ross Robinson. That was their own stage show. And
Yeah.
that had not changed in 2004.
And I wonder if it continues to this day. They probably pulled off.
I don't know.
That's probably why you have the gaps in the album releases after this one compared to prior.
Part of it, I think.
So
And,
then
you
they-
know, they're Stone Sour. And there's like a lot going on.
Murder Dolls. and-
Some of them fucking die.
Well, that's an album.
It's
like-
like, no, that's what I just mean over the arc of after
Yeah.
this. A lot happens in terms of how big the gaps often are between not just all of them. Some of those gaps are years and years.
Yeah.
As we're going to talk about. I listened to the shit out of this album. I got it days before I had my grad school said you have to come back now. So I came back for spring 04 and then I went straight back to Germany again. And so this is one of the albums I was rocking out there on an MP3 disc player, I think is how I was listening to it, because 2004. And I listened to it endlessly, a whole lot, and have since. And I would argue and will argue, not to give it away, this is the best Slipknot album. I waver a little bit between it and the one after, and I know Tracy doesn't agree with me about that album, but I think this one is the pinnacle.
It is. This is my favorite one by them. I think it's them
Mine
at their
too.
peak. I think their album in 2019 was good, and a lot of people think of it as one of their best ones, but I don't think it quite measures up to this one. But
It
also,
doesn't.
I think it's nostalgia in it for me as well, because this album
for me too.
was. Oh, I turned 16 when this album came out, and I remember listening to the shit out of this album. And I was oddly confused because I bought it at Walmart, and then I found out I was like, I need to get the explicit version. Then I found out there is an explicit version. Like he just went, all right, I'm going right, no cuss words in this album, which I found surprising. And I think it made.
And yet it's very brutal anyway. You're right.
Yeah.
It's sort of interesting they're not there, but
I think part of it is because, we talked about that previous one, that one was like just a sledgehammer to the face in terms of aggression and lyrically. I think this one's more precision. And I think part of the reason they wrote it without the explicit lyrics is because I think some of the flack they got from reviewers and I don't say fans, but some of the criticisms they got is like, oh, you just say a bunch of cuss words, you can't actually write songs.
that is what people said. No,
And I think they were like, okay,
yeah.
challenge accepted.
I think that was part of what was going on.
If I could put in my uneducated opinion here, being the least educated in this room about this
No.
record,
Do you like it?
I liked it. It took me a few listens to really understand what was going on, but I did end up liking it.
Good. You can
I
talk
couldn't
then.
say that I know that it's the best work they ever did because I just haven't listened to them enough or
Sure.
even enough records. But it was really surprising, coming from
Mhm.
coming from Iowa, where like I hadn't even done the first record with you guys, so I was just like, where is the heaviness? Where is it? Did they hide it? But I really appreciated a lot of this. I think that for me, that expectation being disappointed wasn't the end of it, but I also thought that the sort of pop direction that they went in didn't always work. And, it wasn't like the whole thing just wowed me, bowled me over.
Sure.
The first time I listened to it, or maybe the first two times I listened to it, it was like, it wasn't doing it for me because there was not enough heavy there.
Mhm.
But as I got into it, I dug it more. So I think it's interesting what they did, and it shows that they can actually write songs. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like the last record, the complaint of mine was it's too much of the same, right?
Yeah.
This record is a lot more diverse in terms of the composition, in terms of the song structures that they're using. That said, they turned the volume down a lot.
They did.
There's like acoustic instruments on it. Like it's there's vocal harmony, like mind blown, you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
I'd say two things. One, and I don't want to like mess up the test or whatever. You may like All Hope Has Gone more because I think it is heavier. I think it dials up. It's not Iowa, but I think it dials a little back in that direction. Two, I lied. Three things. Two, I think the pop direction, if that's what you want to call it, works very well. And I don't always say that. Like I to this day, I don't know. We already reviewed the Black Album. There's a lot going on there. And I'm not going to say this is a Bob Rockification of Slipknot, but there's an element of that. But I think it works really well, partially because I think the parts that you mentioned that are acoustic and some of the transitions are really good. They're like pretty, like actually good. And I actually, listening to this now, there's a lot of stuff I used to skip because I'm an asshole about things like intro tracks. Skip it. Like I'd listen to it, I'm trying to listen to it a couple times and then I just started skipping it. But it's really fucking good, even though it's just like a slow build. Ben doesn't agree with me because Ben is in a forest
intro tracks
with Danny Filth. I don't like intro tracks, but I think this one is actually quite good. And I think
it's not an intro. It's not an intro track, David.
I guess it's not. You don't
if
think
you want
so?
Well, if you want to, if you want to be like really, really technical about it, it's not an intro track because it is called Prelude, but it is an actual song. It's not like, let's waste everybody's time with like a, 25-second instrumental. That's not what it is.
But it does waste everybody's time.
Ben is clearly a fan.
But I think that there are other tracks where I would say, like on other metal records, where I would say this track is clearly not necessary and doesn't add anything. You may say that about this. You may say that about this.
Ben
track,
does say that about this,
but everybody else will not share your opinion.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's just my own mind. I kind of construed it as an intro track. Part of it is how long it starts to get going, right? And so I just lost patience and would move straight to the next song, which is fucking amazing. So kind of in my mind, that was the first track. So listening to it now, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I just always skipped this. And again, it's made worse by music in this era I listen to on like playlists, so it's just not there, right? It's like so I sort of forgot it existed. And the slow song, I definitely don't put that shit on a best metal playlist. So as much as I know this album very well and have listened to it a lot, but there are pieces of it I haven't listened to in context in 17 years.
So I agree with a lot of what you guys have said as far as this is. The song structures are much more like standard song structures. There's more melody, there's more verse chorus stuff going on. The playing on this is good. They do experimentation. I actually like the incorporation of some acoustic stuff into this. But I just think that his songwriting is kind of naff and weak. I think that of the 3 albums we've done so far, these are the weakest songs. There's a couple of like real bangers that, if I was going to see Slipknot live again, that I would want to hear, but the majority of this album is filler to me.
And I'm completely opposite of that. I'm completely opposite. Like outside of like one track on this album, I think this album is the perfect length. I think every track has its place. It's a fantastic fucking album.
It is not too long. I will say that. I don't think that that the runtime is an issue here, but I don't know. It's meandering and self-indulgent, and Slipknot, I guess.
Don't yuck my yum, Ben. Anyway, yeah, oh my god. I can't really deny those things you're saying, even if I don't feel them emotionally. I'm Team Tracy on this all the way.
Hey,
I'm like halfway between, I think.
Yeah, there are albums that came out like when I was Tracy's age that I adore that are probably crap albums, but
what's my excuse?
Well, you also have an emotional investment in this, and
I do.
So, and I think and honestly, that is the beauty of music. We all experience it differently. We are talking objectively about something that is almost purely subjective.
I remember the car ride home after getting this album. Like I went with my granddad to Walmart and I bought it, and I got in the car, put it in the CD player, and I'm listening to it and like thumbing through the booklet as he's driving us home. Like I remember that vividly in my mind.
I remember doing some of the dumbest shit I've ever done in my life to this album. It's what I was doing in 2004.
What's your excuse? You were.
I made any excuse I needed, Tracy. That's what I did. This is.
I was 16 at least.
This was just after the time I met Gabe. This was a little after that, and things got. I went to flavor country in this period of my life. After this, it got very different. And I got like married, and suddenly the army was happening, and all kinds of shit. So, but that is not how Tron was living in 2004. And this album was along for the ride.
Did you go visit an ocean land kind of place when you?
We could talk about that as much as you'd like off program. I want to protect the guilty and the innocent. We don't need to talk about who killed whom, Tracy.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be a happy occasion.
Indeed. I'm willing to admit that I am squarely in the minority on this album. This reached number 1 or number 2 on the Billboard charts. I don't remember the first week, and it moved like 294,000 units. It's been certified platinum. As I said, it was voted as one of the top albums of the 2000s. I don't see it, but it connected, and they even do the NAF thing that bands do where they call it, they write a song about what they call their fans on here.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, to me, this is the origin of butt metal. You can draw a direct line from this album to Five Finger Death Punch. As a matter of fact, you could call this like Slip Finger Death Knot. Anyway.
That is a disastrous trajectory you're painting, and I want to tell you to take it back, but I need to ponder it. Like I need to hit the button, the enhance button a bunch of times. Enhance. Like I need to figure this out.
I'm sitting here. What's that picture of the kid, the guy with the crying eyes shaking? He's just like, you're taking it back, and that's me right now.
I'm not saying you can't like it. I just don't. And it's not that I don't like it. Like I said, there's some stuff on here that is very, very good. It's just there's a lot of stuff that I just didn't care for. This is not an album that morally offended me like some albums have. So
I think part of what makes this album, I know a lot of people consider like metal fans, a lot of metal fans like Iowa's their best. And a lot like it's like a split between this one and Iowa. And I think one thing that this thing does that Iowa didn't do is Iowa, when you listen to it from start to finish, and we all experienced about a month ago, it fucking beats you. Like you're beat at the end of it. This one, you can hit replay and repeat the whole album again, and you won't feel like you've been drugged through a cornfield backwards.
I agree with that. Iowa, and I love heavy music, as you all know. Look at my background, but I was just about my least favorite, actually. And I think that's part of it. It just, the first one was fun and there were clowns. And then this one was like a little bit poppy and it went down smooth. But the second one just like grabs your lip and slams you into the table. You're like, why are you doing this to me? But then I learned it's because that's what they were doing to themselves.
Yeah. And I think on subsequent albums, they're kind of trying to refine the mix again. Because this is the third album, that hypothesis that the third album is the best album for a lot of bands. And I think this is where they hit their high mark.
I agree. And I thought about that a lot, Tracy, because I love the next one too. But I think this one's just a hair better. And it's the turn. Maybe it isn't innovative. Maybe it's the birth of butt metal. Whatever it is.
I mean, I think you could make an argument if you wanted to. That you mentioned the Black Album. As much shit as the Black Album gets for selling out, I think you can give this as much shit if one wanted to do that. And I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that
one could do that.
Yes. Should one want to?
Ben's about to play 6 degrees of separation between Slipknot and the Five Finger Death Punch. And this is how you got here.
This is how you Sonic. No,
this is anyway. Can we move to tracks, gentlemen?
Let's do that.
Yeah, okay. Gabe, you want to go first?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
There
we go. There's the track listing.
Bam.
All right. So like I said, Prelude 3.0 is an actual song. And I think it's pretty decent. What I like about it a lot actually is the line that's repeated in there is "now it's over." It's the first track of the album, so it's over. Never mind. I think it's pretty funny, or interesting, however what you want to put it. I like The Blister Exists the second time around. It's still not as heavy as I'd expected. I really dug Duality, and you could tell that it was a single, just from listening to it, and for good reason. I mean, it's really quite catchy. I enjoyed Opium of the People as well, where they discovered vocal harmony. And I also really liked Welcome, which is like a return to regularly scheduled programming for Slipknot. Not a huge fan of Vermilion 1 or 2, although I do think Vermilion is better It doesn't have good lyrics or even good delivery. The chorus is just not my favorite. Also don't like their song about their fans. I don't even like Before I Forget all that much, but it was at that moment when I heard that, it was like, I'm listening to a different band. Like, it's not even the same band as Iowa. It's like a totally different band than before. So that's mission accomplished, I suppose. I enjoyed the Nameless for the composition, which was really missing on the last record. Has some pretty deadly lyrics once they get spelled out. And Virus of Life is creepy as shit. I like that. The Closer is not solid whatsoever. I don't know why they chose to end the album on that, but there you go.
I feel that I should go before Tracy says I like them all and Ben says I like none of them.
I'm not going to say that.
Okay. I, as I said, I'm converted on Prelude. It is a real song and it is in fact good. I used to just skip it. I love The Blister Exists. 3-Nail Duality, Opium of the People. That run is quite good to me. Welcome, exactly as Gabe says, Return to Form. I don't mind Vermilion 1 and 2. I think they'd work less well if there was just one of them. And I agree that the lyrics are better in some other songs, but I think they're fine. I like Pulse of the Maggots. I know it's self-indulgent, but as a song about, I don't know, as a song about revolution, there's like a lot going on there. You can pull in other directions, actually. Because when I hear that song, I think about stuff a lot bigger than Slipknot. And maybe that's just me because I'm, clinically insane. But what are we going to do? I like The Nameless a lot, though that song's a little difficult for me because it evokes a very intense and rather destructive relationship that I had at that time. So I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when this was my brain and that was bad. So Virus of Life, as he said, is creepy. I agree with Gabe. Danger's not that good a closer. It's the one thing I really will ding this album for. Part of it is I listened to the original version. It's originally supposed to be 12 minutes, and the 12-minute version, I guess maybe works a little better, but then it's even more self-indulgent. So it was written as a much longer song. I assume Rick Rubin was like, no, or the chicken shat on the tape, and they cut it off there. But anyway, the closer is weak. But other than that, I like nearly every one of these songs. And some of them, like Blister Exists or Pulse of the Maggots or Nameless, I like a lot.
Ben?
So Prelude is terrible, Danger is terrible, The Blister Exists is good, Duality is good, Vermilion 1 and Vermilion 2 are proto Five Finger Death Punch. Pulse of the Maggots, I would rather listen to What is a Juggalo by a factor of 10,000%. The Nameless is good, and The Virus of Life is okay.
Alrighty. So the one track on this album I will ding it for is The Virus of Life. I like the rest of the tracks on this album quite a fucking bit.
Even the closer?
Even the closer, Danger Giveaway. And for me, like, I think prior to seeing the live 9.0 and hearing it, I think probably would have cut off at Vermilion Part 2. But seeing them fucking using this marching band snare drums during the live show,
yes, kind
of made that song stick in my head.
Yes. Agreed. No, the snare shit on here, the percussion, which was always sort of their strong suit, is really fucking good. And I also saw this show and shit, dude, this tour. It was intense. I don't think I saw Iowa. I saw them when they were touring that first one, and then I think this one.
I think I saw them on Iowa, but I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, this album I'm with, and this isn't always true. I'm very much with Team Tracy on this album.
Normally it's that prog stuff where that happens.
Yeah, it's true. Let's grade the shit out of this. Tracy, just get it over with.
A+ 98. Just done. Next. I fucking love this album.
You know what? I'm gonna go with A+ 97. I'm gonna come just the tiniest bit under, only because I'm shook about that butt metal stuff, man. Like now, like Ben has sowed the seeds of doubt, because I was gonna give it a straight 98. I was gonna give it a 98 also, but now I'm wait. Five Finger Death Punch. I'm sorry.
Don't doubt.
Jesus.
Embrace it. They are not the cause of Five Finger Death Punch. They did not. Five Finger.
I mean, my heart wants to say 98, Tracy.
Prove it.
I'm gonna
Go with your heart, David.
Fine, I will give it a 98.
Man, I've never seen Tracy cape so hard for somebody else's grade.
Me either, but he's convinced me again until Ben starts talking, and then I'm like, oh shit.
It's already run down.
It's already
done.
run down.
It's in the
permanent, and he just
Oh,
hangs
no.
up on me, kicks me off the call.
We lost you, David. We lost you.
You're gone.
I'm going to give this a B minus because I think that this is as good as Iowa, and I'm pretty sure that's what I gave Iowa. It is more pleasurable to listen to. The musicianship is better, but I actually liked some of the harder stuff on Iowa better than I did this one. But it's still a solid album, even with everything that I said negative about it.
You said to be honest.
Yeah.
We need to go back and check Tracy's work on this one, Ben. You're gonna look back and it'll be like Ben gave it 107.
It was
Ben gave it a 98 as well. Look at this.
David gave it 290. David gave it a 98 and a 97. You just add them together.
Oh man. Well, I ended up liking this album more than I thought I would. And although I am missing a lot of the heaviness that the previous record had, I also didn't like the fact that the previous record wasn't as varied in the kinds of sounds that the band was producing. So I'm going to give this a B+. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it definitely grew on me.
Well, that could have been worse, Tracy. I mean, there's been moments where you were like, this album's the album that got me through this terrible thing. And I'm like, C-, and Ben's like D-.
Yeah.
So this was not one of those times. That's happened, Gabe. It's brutal. You're like, oh shit. Tracy's like, this is how I survived when I got, drug-resistant TB in Cambodia. And we're like, oh fuck. I just gave this album a D-.
Hey guys, my dad almost died. This album got me through it.
That's the one. There it is. That's the stuff.
No, it was two. One of them was Yob's Our Heart, which
that's it. I shat on.
Yes, which that was during a bad point in my life, and then fucking Sowing Lotus and y'all.
No, totally. I like that, okay, but then not so much. Well, more importantly, Tracy, what are we doing in the future time?
In the future time, we are going back to the hell known as Guar.
I am so unbelievably pumped about that. Sorry, what album? I cut you off.
Ragnarok.
You're damn right it is.
All right. We'll catch you then, and thank you for listening to Thunderdome Metal Review.